everyone. I'm Dana Perino, and this is The Five. So, some explosive new developments tonight on an internal White House kerfuffle now spilling out into the public. Anthony Scaramucci, the president's new communications director, gave a profanity-filled interview to the New Yorker magazine, unleashing attacks on two senior White House officials. He called White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus a, quote, expletive, paranoid, schizophrenic, and a paranoiac, and also used vulgar language to describe President Trump's chief strategist, Steve Bannon. Scaramucci took to Twitter following the publication, saying, "I sometimes use colorful language. I will refrain in this arena, but not give up the passionate fight for Donald Trump's agenda." And this one, Justin, he just tweeted, "I made a mistake in trusting a reporter. It won't happen again." No word yet from that reporter. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders weighed in earlier.
Anthony put out a statement here just moments ago and stated that, you know, this is a guy who sometimes uses colorful and in many circles, probably not appropriate language. And he's very passionate about the president's agenda, and I think he may have let that get the best of him in that conversation.
So there's lots more developing tonight. Let's go to the White House and bring in Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry with the latest from there. Ed.
Dana, with all these fast-moving developments, it's important to remind ourselves that Anthony Scaramucci is not even officially really on the staff here, and it was barely a week ago, 6 days ago, that he was at the White House podium being introduced as an incoming aide. So much has happened since then. He is supposed to be the incoming White House communications director, trying to sharpen the message back on the president's big agenda, jobs, health care, which is obviously playing out in the Senate tonight, a very important moment for the president's agenda, as well as infrastructure and all of the big national security issues he's dealing with. Instead, what is spilling out is what is clearly a feud between Scaramucci and the White House Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus. Remember, at the podium last Friday, Scaramucci claimed that they were brothers. They have fights sometimes. It gets messy, but deep down, they deeply like each other. At the time, we reported that a lot of other people in the building behind me did not believe that they got along. And in fact, it is becoming more and more clear that that is the case. You see Steve Bannon there as well. Scaramucci training his fire on him as well, claiming that the president's chief strategist here at the White House is all about himself, not about the president, not about the people, not about the president's agenda. All of this in terms of the New Yorker interview following an extraordinary interview this morning on CNN where Scaramucci said this.
If you want to talk about the chief of staff, we have had odds, we have had differences. When I said we were brothers from the podium, that's because we're rough on each other. Some brothers are like Cain and Abel. Other brothers can fight with each other and then get along. I don't know if this is repairable or not. That will be up to the president. When I put out a tweet and I put Reince's name in the tweet, they're all making the assumption that it's him because journalists know who the leakers are. So if Reince wants to explain that he's not a leaker, let him do that.
So that last bit there referencing a tweet late last night, even before all of this, where it appeared Scaramucci was accusing Priebus of leaking out Scaramucci's personal financial disclosure form. Instead, it wasn't really a leak. It was a form that reporters were able to get. It's public information. He had to sort of backpedal from that charge against Priebus. But it's clear, regardless of how this is spun now, that there is a lot going on behind the scenes and now even in public between these top White House aides. Dana?
All right, thank you so much. So back in the day, like King Henry VIII, they had palace intrigue. The New York Post cover tomorrow, I'm going to show this if I can bring it up here. It has basically the internal White House staff as the cast of Survivor, trying to figure out who is going to be remaining at the end of this. Kimberly, you had a unique advantage last night to actually hear a little bit maybe about this, and I'm not asking you to divulge anything, but you were at the White House last night. What's your take on all this?
Good night to get an invitation, right?
Yeah.
So it was very nice to be there, and it's wonderful to see the president and the first lady, who I'm very fond of and friends of. And so there was a dinner. I got to do a nice little tour and stuff of the White House, and that was there with our colleague Sean Hannity. I won't say the other people who were there because they weren't outed as being present. But it was a very nice dinner, wonderful time, great food, probably ate too much, you know me. But other than that, I mean, the president was in very, very good mood, very happy, really feels like things are in the right course, that his policies and agendas are going to be implemented. So he seemed really enthused, which was great. And I guess this all happened later on after the dinner.
And earlier today, Jesse, Sarah Sanders in her press briefing said that the president likes competition like this. I'm not sure if this is the exact thing that they're looking for, like competition in terms of like ideas and getting to the best policy, I could see. But internal squabbling, do you think he likes that?
I think he might be a little entertained by it. Maybe there's a method to his madness. Sarah Huckabee Sanders also said another brilliant thing on the story tonight where she says, I don't think the American people care so much about who has a job inside the White House. They care about who has a job outside the White House in America. But there's a lot of locker room talk going on right now. The other day, Scaramucci said that he's not a backstabber, he's a front stabber. And I think Reince right now is pulling the knife out of his chest. I think here's what's going on. Trump is trying to purge weakness and disloyalty from his team. So he taps Mooch, who's got a great head of hair, a very sharp tongue, and he's coming in with a flamethrower and just kind of mowing down everybody that's weak. And he's firing disloyal people, he's manhandling people on television, and he's throwing some fastballs right at Reince's head. Now, how Reince reacts, I think, in the next couple weeks is going to determine whether or not Mooch is going to slide in and take that chief of staff job. I'm not really sure how it's going to play out. Is the language a little over the top? Yes. Do we all have virgin ears? No. I'm not that worried about it. But Trump doesn't hire yes men like Obama did. He's hiring people with sharp elbows, people with very sharp tongues who come in and compete and are very passionate. And they're all from different walks of life. So I think we have to get used to this. A little perspective here. Vets are not dying in secret wait lines. Ambassadors are not being left behind to die on the anniversary of 9/11, and Border Patrol agents aren't dying at the hands of Mexican drug cartels. So let's put that into perspective.
That's something that you brought up last night, which is that all the good stuff is on page 3 that they're doing, and then you have things like this, because I said on the story that reporters will always eat dessert first if you give it to them. And if it's like a soap opera, then you're going to cover that first. And you're going to read it first, too.
Exactly. But she's still
like you're standing in the grocery store line.
Yeah. You know, I think it is a little overstated, though. It's not as if he's the, I don't know, director of communications, something like that. Then it would be serious. No, the thing is...
Director of the OK Corral. That's what it is, right?
But I think I agree with Jesse. Listen, my Twitter feed every day is filled with profanity. When I'm watching the news, I switch over to an entertainment show. It's totally profane. There's practically pornography on the cable channels. It's ridiculous when we pretend that we've never heard this stuff before. And so, you know, he said it to another reporter.
I don't know if that's the thing, though, Juan. I think it's that the fact that they're saying it about each other.
Oh, my gosh.
At the White House.
I don't understand. This, you know, there was a headline the other day. It said, this is not normal. Well, to me, this is the presidency of the United States of America. And what we're seeing here is that the presidency is being degraded by this kind of hooligan behavior.
Are you talking about the Clinton White House, or are you talking about the Trump White House?
Jesse,
I just want to make sure
I'll tell you the White House are not talking about.
Jesse, there's no getting away from this. I mean, I don't understand why the president would invite this kind of acrimony,
I think the president is very frustrated.
In which he has gone after his own attorney general, and now we have Scaramucci going after the chief of staff, the chief political consultant, saying that you can't, I mean, I don't even know how to deal with it, but he's saying Bannon should perform physically impossible acts on himself, and he's blocking this and that. He's saying that Reince Priebus, and, you know, I don't get it, saying Reince Priebus is psychotic, schizophrenic, and using profanity to describe him, says he's Cain and Abel, which, as we know, didn't end well. To me, what you're seeing here is...
For one of them.
Yeah. But what you're seeing here is disheartening. And I don't understand
the Democrats have been saying the exact same thing about Bannon for the last year. And then all of a sudden Mooch says it, and then it's a big deal, and they're sympathetic.
Oh, yeah. Let me just say, you can try to, you know, pass this off, no big deal, nothing happened, you know, everybody move along. Something big is happening here, and it's hurting the president, it's hurting the presidency, it's hurting our country. And you can see the divisions, by the way, not only in the Congress among Republicans, but even among Republican commentators. When you get Laura Ingraham, Charles Krauthammer, even Newt Gingrich, who is close to the president, saying that Scaramucci is full of himself, maybe you should stop, Jesse, and just say, you know, this is serious. This is not, oh, let's just bring up Obama again.
Well, when people are calling for the president's assassination and everybody sweeps under the table, then someone calls someone a schizo and it's like all hell's breaking loose.
You can never stick to the
But you know what? I think we should wait and see what's going to happen and what the president's going to decide. He is the American president. People serve at the pleasure of the president, and he's the one that gives direction. He's the one that makes the choices and the personnel decisions, and they're going to be his to make. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We're going to see what's going to happen. But I'm sure if anybody was in a situation like this, you would feel regret. Obviously, you want to do things differently. You want to do a good job and be passionate about the president. You know.
But one thing that's strange is that when the announcement was made that Anthony Scaramucci would become the director of communications at the White House, there must have been direction from the president to go out and make it look nice. Okay, so play nice. And so both Reince and Scaramucci came out and were like, oh, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah.
We're brothers. But maybe that wasn't actually being truthful.
Yeah, and I think Scaramucci knows that, you know, he's trying to impress his boss now. He's also trying to impress us. You know,
reporters love it.
Yes, they love it. He knew he went over well when he gave the first press conference.
Yep.
Spicer went out, and everyone said, oh, who's this new guy? And he was kind of impressive, and he's got the arms, and he's kind of like Trump. So he's a little full of himself. I think he's got it wrong with Bannon. I think, obviously, you know, Bannon has his head down. He's not, like, working on the Bannon brand. I think Scaramucci's working on the Scaramucci brand. So I think he's, like, projecting a little bit there.
Yeah, I just read an article on Breitbart about how, I don't know, this is all very interesting.
Well, you know what,
I never had to deal with
that kind of talk's not going to bother somebody. Steve Bannon, who's like Goldman, you know, secretary. I hate to tell you, you should hear everything I heard as a prosecutor, working with like cops and detectives and other prosecutors.
It's tough talk. I don't know where
Tom Perez says
F word
all the time.
When you see this, when you see him talking about his fellow Trump aides in the White House in this way, that's why I say it's disheartening. I'm not a big Trump supporter.
We've been reading about White House shakeups for quite some time. Something needs to be done. That's my point, right?
So
what's happening here?
Last night you're with the president. Did you get any indication as to who's coming, who's going?
She can't say anything like that, even if
I
she
don't
did
know.
know.
I'm asking her. She can speak for herself.
All right. And
okay, I'm sorry. I won't try to be her press secretary.
I would love you as my press secretary. You're very qualified.
I would love her actually more.
Wait and see what the president does. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I saw in Drudge this evening it says, you know, death match. I mean, that's basically what we're talking about.
That's again my point. The reporters are loving this. The public likes it. It's like, honestly, we are all addicted to the sugar. We are treated to it every day. That there is always something that has nothing to do with policy that we can talk about that is frustrating to the White House, but a lot of this is self-inflicted.
I think too what we saw today is you didn't hear any statements coming out from the White when they said, does he have the confidence of the president? There was one thing, and there was a second thing, which was it was confidence of the president and one other thing, and they asked about Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Right, and she did not give Reince a very good indication that everything's fine. It seems like he's on borrowed time right now. I think Reince has been a loyal guy to the extent that once Trump won the nomination, he soldiered up and he got in line and he was very good to him. Now, at 6 months in, has it worked out very smoothly under Reince's leadership as chief of staff? You can say the travel ban rollout wasn't that smooth. The Obamacare deal has not gone smoothly at all. The messaging has sometimes been off. There hasn't been great execution. And Scaramucci comes in, and this guy might knock some heads together and make some changes, and this is maybe something the president's trying to encourage.
Well, I just think if you're a Republican on Capitol Hill right now, you're thinking this is out of control. This is the seventh layer of hell.
Actually, you're thinking right